Hello and welcome to another edition of Dash Cam Wisdom. And today's topic I received by request. And one of the folks in my network wrote me about her daughter, 24-year-old daughter in the workplace, and is experiencing her first overly critical, rude, nasty boss. So if you could make a video to speak to that and what advice you have of dealing with bosses like that. So this is one near and dear to my heart, and I've been a guest on so many podcasts over this last 12 months, and one of the questions is, hey, this passion that you have for what you do and the way you do it, where does that come from? And when I talk about helping leaders improve and connecting with their people, it's because I've had so many negative experiences with bad bosses. And there's a lot of leaders that want to do the right thing, they just don't know how to. And I teach them how to, from a scientific standpoint, the best way to connect with people, and it's the right thing to do, and it's the right way to treat people. Also, I don't ever want people to feel the way I felt. And those situations, it was terrible to go home at night feeling that way and then have to go back the next day and deal with it again and again and again. So my advice to anyone in those situations is learn while you're there and get out as quick as you can. Life's too short. It's not worth it. And a lot of the lessons that I've learned about leadership, unfortunately, have come from what not to do as a bad boss, what not to do. I've had so many bad bosses that there's a clear path of what not to do, what not to say to people, how to treat people. Bosses withholding raises, withholding bonuses to punish you when your performance is good, but somehow politically you didn't align with them. And it goes on and on. And you look at all the research groups out there when it comes to leadership, employee engagement, and there are many, many organizations and studies out there. There's one thing that they all agree on. The number one reason why people leave their jobs is bad boss. Universal. And the number is about 3 out of 4 employees. 75% is pretty much a universal number. And then it's interesting that Inc. magazine put out a study a few years back, and it said that 75% of the people say the worst and most stressful part of their day is their boss. So it's an issue in this country, and I'm sure probably around the world, but I can only speak specifically about the United States and what I've seen and heard and the research that I've uncovered. So when you're in those situations, definitely don't retaliate, definitely don't argue, find out what you need to do, and then make sure you do the things that you're being asked to do. And at the same time, you got to look out for yourself and your career and your livelihood and your well-being. And I remember having a conversation with a good friend of mine years ago, and I remember her telling me, hey, you need to go where you're celebrated, not tolerated. It's a big difference between the two. And so you can be in one organization, and the very thing that they're criticizing you for, you take that same skill set, the same attitude, the same mindset, the same work ethic to another organization, they're celebrating you for the exact same thing. And so a lot of these bad bosses make people feel as if they're not good enough, that they're not doing their job well enough, that there's something wrong with you, when the reality is there's something wrong with them fundamentally. So, I'd like to be able to tell you, you can fix your boss. Only your boss can fix your boss. And unfortunately, we have some people in high places with a lot of influence that have no business being in those places and have no business being those influence, having as much influence as they do. And of course, their organizations pay the price in court repeatedly, and they write those checks and then continue to enable those leaders. It's unbelievable to me. But that's my advice, is you're in that situation, and I don't care if it's professional or personal relationship. If someone's abusive, it's time to go. It's time to go. No one on this planet should be abused or allow someone to abuse you physically, verbally, It doesn't matter. Should not be tolerated, not even for a second. So as fast as you can get out of there, do it. Sometimes bosses will make it seem like, oh, you know, you're lucky to be here. And if you go out there, I don't know what's going to happen. Trust me, if you're a great employee, there's a job for you. There are organizations that will embrace you because everyone is looking for great employees at all times. All right, that's my message for today. Hope this finds you well. And until next time, take care.